Hey guys, so today we're gonna be doing another Michael Knowles reaction video. He dropped a new video where he was talking to these two college students in I don't know what university, but yeah, he was talking to these two college students and they were talking about trans issues and stuff like that. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. All right. What do we have here?
When a conservative speaks on a college campus, anything can happen. I've come to expect the histrionics of the excitable leftist students with purple hair. That's just how college kids are. It's frankly kind of charming. What still gives me some surprise, though, is that the most ardent disruption these days often comes from the supposed adults who should know better, the university administrators. Just days before I was scheduled to speak at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, left-wing administrators tried to shake down the students for a last-minute, unprecedented security fee totaling well over $4,000.
Jesus.
From me, little old me.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. You serious?
At first, I was honored. UW-Madison didn't charge any last-minute security fees when my friends Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh spoke there. Perhaps they were just more intimidated by my Sicilian physique. But then I learned that the fee was not to protect the students from me. Rather, it was to protect me from the liberal students, who ideologically are on the same side as the administrators who were trying to shake me down. Fortunately, the group that had invited me held its ground and even threatened to sue the school, which was legally bound by the First Amendment to abide by free speech. What was the result? Chaos? Mayhem? Did my producer survive the violent hordes?
Whether you want to increase sales, generate leads, or build brand awareness, Google Ads.
It all turned out great. Hundreds of people came in, they filled all the seats, and they were polite for almost the whole time.
I'm standing here now, a biological male wearing a dress with a pair of leggings. Do you sincerely believe that I should be subject to punitive justice on the basis of what I'm wearing? And if so, are you willing to turn yourself in for wearing women's panties in your gay college film?
I say almost the whole time because a couple students, one who called himself transgender and another who called herself non-binary, became a bit more pointed during the Q&A. I was happy to answer their questions. So happy, in fact, that we all decided to sit down and have a conversation after the event. Demi? Ferris? First of all, thank you for coming to the lecture, and then thank you for your questions, and then for sitting down. I take it you did not agree with me coming in. Did I persuade either of you?
No.
Okay.
Not particularly, no.
The topic of the conversation was abortion.
Mm-hmm.
You asked about transgenderism.
I did.
I didn't persuade you on that.
No, not really.
When did you start to identify as a woman?
What makes you say that I identify as a woman? Because I actually didn't assert that.
What? The very fact that you sound like a man, look like a man, with a wig on, and a dress, with leggings, I don't know. A lot of stuff, masculine features, your facial bone structure, the deep voice. Oh, I've said that already. And yeah, I remember he said, he was a trans wearing leggings and a dress. Why wouldn't he assume that you were trans? I mean, his voice is, Jesus Christ. His voice is deep. Well, let's get into it.
I don't know.
Is it just pattern recognition? Do I just look like one of the transes?
You're wearing a dress.
Yeah.
The first hint.
Yeah. Have you heard of a femboy? Do you know what that means?
Now I have, but I don't know what it means.
Okay. It's
femboys, like effeminate men. Those things are different. No. It's different. Feminine men, they still are men, but they just act like women, but they are still men. They don't call themselves trans. They don't call themselves any other thing other than I'm still a man, but I like to, maybe cross dress every now and then, put on makeup. Like they do feminine things, they do female things, but they are still men. Everyone knows them as a man. They know themselves as a man. They are not confused about who they are, that they are men. They're just, they just act feminine. So those two things are different. You are saying that you're not a man, you're a woman, and you want to do women things. Women things. They're not confused about who they are, but you are. There's a difference, huge difference. Let's keep going.
It's feminine men. They wear a lot of dresses. It's cool.
But
I'm not a femboy. I identify as a trans woman.
Okay, so I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were correct.
But a femboy is different than a trans.
Yes, they are. They're quite different.
What's the difference?
So a femboy still retains their male identity and pursues femininity, whereas a trans woman actually identifies as a woman.
What does that mean, though? If you if I pursue Sicilian identity, then I would identify as Sicilian.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But then, if a femboy pursues feminine identity, he would identify as female.
He would identify as feminine, not necessarily female. I think you and everyone at the Daily Wire would agree that feminine and female are not synonymous.
Well, men can be effeminate.
Yeah,
actually,
effeminate.
But that's different than feminine.
Feminine. How would you define feminine versus effeminate?
Feminine is good, and it's what women are when they act like women. And effeminate is bad, and it's what men are when they act like women.
So yeah, we could say a femboy is a boy who is effeminate.
Well, then Okay, but then to loop back around to my first question, when did you start to identify as transgender?
Started to identify as transgender. Internally, I've noticed the sort of mismatch between my identity and the body that I was given and the roles that society has placed upon me. That mismatch was pretty clear from a very young age. I'm not going to pretend that I was a woman all along. I was born with a female brain. But I'd say probably since around 4K, like school.
4K?
Like 4-year-old kindergarten, like preschool.
Okay. What do you think caused it? If you say you weren't...
4-year-old. Who the hell remembers anything at 4-year-old? Like your brain can't even comprehend you're still wet, you're still peeing in the bed. And you're talking about who you are, whether you're a boy or girl. You are still like... Jesus Christ, I can't even, these people. What? 4 years old. 4 years old. You know who you are at 4 years old. Really? Really? What the hell was, I can't even remember I can't remember what I did when I was 10 years old, but you remember who you are at 4 years old. 4 years old. This is insane to me. This is all crazy.
It's not like you were born in the wrong body or something. What do you think caused it?
I think it's quite simple, really. I think some people like ketchup and some people don't. I wanted to live my life this way. I wanted to pursue these characteristics, these traits.
No, I'm not denying that you want or
that I want to do that,
but I'm just kind of asking why.
Yeah, I think the same reason why anybody identifies as the gender they were assigned at birth. Well, it just feels kind of natural.
When did you publicly start doing it?
I'd say I came out as trans to everyone except for my family members, because it wasn't safe in my household.
Where it wasn't safe?
Why wasn't it safe?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the grotesque details, but I was in a pretty abusive household. My father was not.
Go figure. Abusive household, and now I'm trans. Like, isn't it ironic? It's all the same pattern. It's all the same pattern. Isn't it ironic? Like, you hear this all the time. There's nothing normal about this. Any of it, all of it. There's nothing normal about it.
Very accepting. But my mother.
Do you think maybe that might have had anything to do with All of
No,
this?
the abuse and whatnot didn't really. I don't see any correlation with that in my gender identity. I could see the look on your face
Because I've just
I see the
heard
talking point.
I've heard it's not just. I mean, I've just heard it from people who have detransitioned, or that sometimes that correlates.
Yeah, I don't like. Trust me, I'm not proud to say that I grew up in an abusive household and I also happen to be trans. I don't want to fuel that statistic, but I'm also not going to be dishonest about my upbringing.
Yeah. Now you are not trans.
I am.
You're
They
just
are trans.
You're trans too?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
I am.
So what are you?
I'm non-binary.
Oh, all right. I don't mean to be different, but you're not saying you're a man.
I'm not saying I'm a man now.
And you would have at some point in your life said you're a woman.
I don't think I ever said I was a woman.
A little girl. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
You did. Okay. But then when did you decide you're non-binary?
I didn't know what transgender or non-binary was until I was 14, 15.
Nobody still knows what a non-binary is. Completely made up, completely stupid, completely idiotic. It's just an ideological term that has been captured, that has been used and weaponized to target young minds. I've never seen a grown adult say they are non-binary. It's become a fad, a fashion, like something that you feel cool about, something that children or kids, teenagers, they use to be popular in school. It's completely useless. It's a useless term. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't describe anything. You're neither a man or like, what the hell does that even supposed to mean? It's a very stupid term. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. Let's keep going.
Most people had not heard of it
Yeah.
until recently.
I mean, it existed, but I hadn't heard of it.
I suppose we'll perhaps agree to disagree on that.
You don't think it existed until recently?
No, I think people have been confused about their sex, and I think they've had all sorts of aberrant desires for all of history. But I don't think it's a real category, basically. So I don't mean it in any disrespectful way. I just don't think I don't think it's possible to have a male body but be a female, because I don't think that's how body and soul or how identity actually works.
So I think what we're saying is that transgenderism, let's just say as an ideology, has existed for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
The first books that were burned in the Holocaust were about transgender people, about sexual studies.
But, well, yeah, there was all sorts of sort of sexual, and it goes back obviously much further than the 1940s. People had these desires. But it is
yes.
I suppose the difference would be transvestitism has existed for all of history, always been sort of, cabarets and red light districts.
But those things are different. Being a transvestite is different from what this is. Why do they keep conflicting? They're just, because they know that it can't stick on the wall, so they have to throw all these terms to it to make it stick. Yes, they've always been transvestites since God knows when. They've always been people like that. They try to bring in transvestite, bring in intersex people, bring in all these kinds of stuff into their situation. It has nothing to do with any of it. It has nothing to do with transgenderism at all. But they keep trying to conflate all of it just to make it mean something. It doesn't mean anything.
And things like that. But the ideology, meaning the view that a man could say he really is a woman, or a woman could say she really is multiple, they or them, or not either a man or a woman, that's a relatively new ideology.
No.
Not the behavior,
actually.
but
we have, looking back, I mean, obviously historical records going back thousands of years get kind of shaky just because, we aren't able to preserve text that long, and maybe text even didn't exist, but
they did exist. We actually have
for all of human history.
Well, thousands of years, yeah, but not like
not going back to Adam in the garden. That's probably true.
But there's evidence of people with assigned male skeletons in traditionally female clothing and attire in burial, and we have the same vice versa. People, this is one of the specific examples I'm thinking of was Norse. There was a female skeleton that was buried with traditionally male burial rites and clothing.
How do they know the skeleton's female?
Well, I said female because obviously I believe that gender is something social rather than just biological, but
the scientists were able to identify it by the skeleton.
We know that sex is unambiguous.
Yes.
I don't think we're denying that.
There's this odd idea among conservatives that transgender people don't understand that biological sex exists, or that we're deluded.
Some don't. Some don't. Some do. You obviously do, but some don't.
No.
I mean, I have yet to meet anybody.
I've yet to meet anyone.
I've seen people clipped out of context to look like that, but I haven't.
Those people are clipped talking to me. These are people. I promise you, I've spoken to these people on camera in some cases. But in any case, you don't feel that way.
I have
so
never
you're
felt that way.
You're non-binary. You said that you came to this realization at 14. What do you think kind of pushed you over that edge at 14?
I think intense emotional distress at the prospect of needing to navigate through life being someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's girlfriend, someone's wife, someone's mother. That's just something that wasn't really a role that I wanted to fill, and a role that I felt intensely distressed at the prospect of needing to fulfill.
Why is that?
It's difficult to explain, and it would be difficult to explain in a very short period of time. It's just one of those things that you feel deep down in your soul.
You mean it would be difficult to explain even to yourself, or you're just saying it would be difficult to articulate this thing that I understand?
It's difficult to articulate. It's kind of an abstract thing.
The cause of gender dysphoria and this discomfort with your sex assigned at birth and these roles is still pretty widely debated, even in the woke scientific community.
Right. And there would seem to be, even among the pro-trans kind of woke, a presumed plurality, or multiplicity rather, of causes. Like some people can fall into this as a bit of a sexual fetish.
That isn't transgender, though. That's
some guys who dress up like women will openly state that they're the Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski sisters, said they fell into their transgender identity largely through pornography, and others will say that as well. Now, you might say, well, it wasn't pornography. It was because of, I wanted to wear a dress when I was 4 years old or something. But I'm just saying, in some cases, it would appear to be more of a sexual fetish. For some people, it might be caused by some emotional distress. For some people, it might be caused by any number of other factors. Again, I'm just repeating what I've heard from the left. I'm not even stating.
I mean, the
I
material.
don't think that the left says that.
The material.
The Wachowski brothers certainly do. And they're
They're
trans.
People.
The most famous
the material
transgender identifying
presence
people in the
of
world.
somebody wearing
That is
a dress with a male body.
wildly false.
The material presence of a man in a woman's dress perhaps could come about as a sexual fetish. I think we agree on that, but I don't think that. I think what we're trying to say is that that's a very different thing than we're describing.
No, but I guess that's what I'm saying too. That there are these. So we all agree there are these different causes for this kind of. You asked me about abortion. So you support abortion.
Absolutely.
And you support it. Do you support abortion? We didn't even talk about it, even though this is the point. You do?
Yeah.
You won't need one, though.
No. I won't need an abortion.
And you might not either, because you're transgender or non-binary.
Do you believe that transgender people are all celibate?
I'm just a little confused as to what non-binary means.
Non-binary means I am not a man or a woman,
Of course,
regardless of what parts I was bestowed.
Oh.
Okay. What you're saying is your body has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes the gender identity does describe a relationship to one's body. For example, if I were to say I am a transgender woman, I'm directly asserting that I am a woman and that I have, male genitalia.
Or you could have gone under the knife and lost your male genitalia.
I could have. Yeah.
So you could be asserting that too. So I guess that's what I'm saying. It seems like you could just, all of these terms just mean kind of whatever you want them to mean.
No, not really.
It's
pretty
just,
concrete definition.
So you just said to be a transgender woman, I have to be wearing a dress or look like this. But
I didn't say I have to. I said that's just how I like.
What's the concrete definition of a transgender woman?
Somebody who is assigned male at birth who identifies and pursues womanhood.
Okay. And what is womanhood then? Not to sound like Walsh, but what is womanhood then? What does that
Womanhood?
mean in that statement?
I would describe womanhood as a very subjective
But you just
concept.
also said we're talking about things that are concrete, and that's all. I'm just trying to grab onto something. What is the actual definition of the thing that you are using to define transgenderism?
I would describe womanhood as a set of characteristics associated with females, usually.
But that's a
sex.
circular definition, and even the way you said it,
No, it's not.
I would describe, but I'm not asking you to describe it.
He's talking about
I'm
a
asking if you
definition.
can offer a definition,
Exactly.
because it gets to the heart of your identity, which is you're 4 years old. You say, "I don't really feel like a man." How would you even know what that would mean at the age of 4? And how would you know what that would mean now to feel like a woman?
Because there are a variety of traditions associated with the male and female sex, and I've decided that I'd rather subscribe to the ones associated with the female sex.
So it's a choice.
How would you even know what that is?
How would I even know what the traditions associated with the female sex are?
Yeah, I mean, they could be
I
just
know
a
that-
caricature.
I know that mom stays at home and that dad goes to work. I know that all.
But you would disagree with that.
No,
You said you reject those roles.
I understand what a traditional gender role is. I don't reject that it as a concept exists. I'm not comfortable with these social expectations. Therefore, I am going to adhere to different social expectations that are generally.
But that's not.
Am I crazy? The dude said, okay, I know the differences between, because the female have their own roles and the male have their own roles. And then he has decided, no, I don't want the male role. I just want to, partake in the female roles. That's why I'm trans. Because I saw the list of things that the females want to do and the list of things that as a man you have to do, the societal gender roles. And I'm going to go with the female because, just because. This is crazy. Are you serious? Are you serious? That's why I'm telling you that this whole ideology, it means nothing. They just make it up as they go along. It's completely, it's rubbish. If I'm completely being honest, like they make it up as they go along. I can't. Okay, let me keep going. This is crazy, y'all.
What you're saying. Opposite sex. Yeah, it is.
No, you're not.
I'm saying it right now.
Well, now you are, but that's not previously what you said. Previously, what you said was there are these different social expectations associated with being a woman, and I so wanted to avoid them that I no longer call myself a woman. Not that a woman can avoid those social expectations, but rather that the social expectations are so intrinsic to womanhood that I will no longer be a woman. I will be a non-binary they, them. That's what you said earlier. You see the conflict, the contradiction there.
Yes, I understand where your confusion came from. So I don't want to adhere to the social norms generally pushed onto women. And I also feel intense discomfort when being called with feminine pronouns, when being called a woman, when being perceived as a woman.
Yeah.
And I understand those things aren't necessarily under my control. So, water off a duck's back. But I feel discomfort with that. Therefore, I choose to reject it.
Okay. Would you, just to tie it up, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about the issue that you wanted to talk about. Would you ever get an abortion?
I could come up with a circumstance in which I would. I highly doubt that such a circumstance would arise.
All right. Yeah, they started talking about abortion and they went into other things. But this is quite enlightening hearing these two people talk, these two very, very peculiar individuals talk. This whole ideology thing, this is only it's been weaponized and used to capture the the youth of the society, and this is the end result of what, like, when you hear these people talk, like from the outside looking in, like me just watching them talk, I'm beside myself. Like, this is crazy. How did they get here? How did we get here? How did people in charge let this thing happen? It's all complete nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. I know that my genuine thought is these people, they need actual help, not this, but actual medical intervention, not this, not at all, not this. But anyway, that's all I got. I love the video. It's quite shocking with every video that I see around this topic. But anyway, yeah. Until the next one. I hope he makes another video of this talking to these people. Anyway, if you like the video, please hit that like button, hit the share button, leave your comments down below. I'll always love to read them. And if you may, please subscribe. You have a good one.